Methods, you have your four methods. All right, still have your four methods. That'll be on the quiz tomorrow as well. Today, just what I want to talk about is what happens after we prove the triangle's congruent. You know, what comes after you're in the proofs. We proved the triangle's congruent. All right, now what? All right, I don't need to have a diagram for you. I'm just going to tell you triangle WIS is congruent to triangle EUP. You should give me six pair of corresponding parts that you know are congruent just using that statement. I don't need a diagram. Because remember what we said, the statement is written in an order for a reason, all right, to match up all the angles and the sides. So if you want to give me a pair of angles, you know, match up. If you want to give me a pair of sides, I don't care. All right, but there should be 6 pairs of corresponding parts that you can get from that statement alone with no diagram. No diagram. All right, let's start it off here. First pair, any pair you want, angles or sides here. Madison? WI, side WI is congruent to side EU. Good start. All right, let's keep going. Again, if you're going to give me an angle, just give me a single letter, side, 2 sides. Right hand, what do you got? W, yep, angle W is congruent to angle E. Good work. Okay, let's get a couple more here. True. What else is true, Alex? What? We're doing 6 pairs of congruent parts based on that congruent statement. And I'm looking for either a pair of sides or a pair of angles from you that are going to be congruent just looking at that statement. It's written in the order for a reason, right? What's that? IS is, side IS is congruent to UP. All right, let's keep going. Where am I going with this one? Jackson, give me another pair. Actually, just follow up. So, the generator knows, huh? Jonathan, how about another pair?
Angle S and angle P.
Angle S and angle P, yep. And all right, how about 2 more, maybe? Maybe 2 more in here. Alex, how about another pair?
Angle
I and U, yep. And we're missing a pair of sides, right? So let's see, IS, so what do we got? WS, congruent to EP. All right. And again, we only know, take a look, we only know they're congruent because the triangles were congruent. So that's what I'm going to do with you today. The proof statement won't be prove triangles congruent. The proof statement's going to be prove a pair of corresponding parts are congruent. And I'll say this over and over. The parts won't be congruent unless what's congruent first? The triangles. The parts won't be congruent unless the triangles are congruent first. All right, so let's take a look at our first proof here today. I'll let you guys write in your statements and mark the diagram however you see fit. And then we'll talk about what my proof statement is there. And this is good practice for tomorrow too, even though this won't be on there. Everyone see your proof statement? Prove angle ACD congruent to BCD. All right, well, that won't be true until we do what, though? These 2 angles won't be congruent. ACD and BCD won't be congruent until we prove what congruent first? The triangles, right? Because once the triangles are congruent, these parts will be equal. So this is good practice for tomorrow. Get the triangles congruent. All right, great practice for tomorrow. Can you get those 2 triangles congruent? Because if you do, those angles will be congruent. Looks like I have a pair of sides to start it off, and I'm going to let you guys take over. You can use the given. You can use anything you see up there. This is good practice for tomorrow. It's not going to be as easy tomorrow, though. This is a pretty easy one to prove these triangles congruent. All right, what do you see up there as far as sides or angles you want me to write down? Alex, what do you want me to write down?
Line AD is congruent to line BD.
AD congruent to DB. How do you know that? Definition of a midpoint. And that gives me a second pair of sides. So we have two pairs of sides. I need one more pair of something. I don't know what it's going to be, but we need another pair of congruent parts before we say the triangles are congruent. And where's that third and final pair of congruent parts going to come from? What we've talked about here. All right, Alex, one more time. All the givens are done, right? So it's something you got to see on your own. Anything shared between the two? Any shared sides between the two triangles?
I don't know.
Is there a side? Do you see the two triangles we're trying to prove congruent?
Yeah.
Do they have a side in common?
CD.
All right. What do we call that?
Reflex.
All righty. Got it right. We got to notice that going into tomorrow's quiz. CD congruent to CD, reflexive. That gives me another pair of sides. I got everything I need to say the triangles are congruent. Now you just got to watch yourself, because the last 2 days, all you guys did was look at the proof statement and copy it. Now you got to match it up correctly. You have to have a correct congruent statement right now. So triangle, I can't just copy it from my proof statement like the last 2 days. Name one of the triangles, please. Shoom, Sydney, name one of the triangles any way you want. ADC, triangle ADC. If I go ADC congruent to, how do I name the second triangle then? So all the parts match up. ADC congruent to, where am I going with that one? Madison. If I go ADC, I got to name the other one. Angle A is going to match up with what angle if I flip them over? B. What's D is going to match up with? How do I name? Is it either going to be CD or DC here? A. All right, let me write CD here. So let's see. AD. Does AD match up with BC in that diagram? Does A, look, I'm looking at the first two letters here, AD, and the first two letters you just gave me, BC. Do those sides match up? Nope, so I don't want to do BCD. I probably want to do BDC. Are we okay there, Madison? Because I'm going to have you do that tomorrow on the quiz. Do we see how we're matching them up? Yes or no? So I can explain a little slower. Yes? Everybody else all right? Because you guys are going to come up with these statements for me tomorrow. And what's the reason why these triangles are congruent? Mia? Side, side, side. Not done, though. Right? I know last couple days we'd be done, but now, all right, now that the triangles are congruent, so are any of their parts that match up, including angle ACD and BCD, the two angles we were asked to prove congruent. And here's your new reason that we're going to use after we prove triangles congruent. These two here, the angles are corresponding parts in congruent triangles. Those are corresponding parts in congruent triangles. Those two angles are, what did we just prove about them? Corresponding parts in congruent triangles are, what are we saying about them? Congruent. And I'll just break this ice right now. I know that's a lot to remember. All right, and probably you might make a mistake somewhere within that statement. So what you're allowed to do is put the abbreviation for it, which is a common abbreviation. corresponding parts in congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC, let it roll off the tongue a couple times. All right, CPCTC. That tells me after the triangles are congruent, so are all the angles and sides. I don't care which one you use, but if you do use CPCTC, the order and the correct letters have to be there. If you have CP, AB, ADC there, that's not going to fly. All right, it's got to be CPCTC. After you prove the triangle's congruent, that's when I use this, not to prove the triangle's congruent. All right, let's keep just trucking here, because we either know how to prove these triangles congruent or not, right? Okay, you see the proof statement, SQ congruent to PR. That's not going to be true until triangles are congruent. I've given you a lot here. I've given you Q and R, which can count as a pair of angles, and I've given you the other pair of angles as well. So you're on the hook for another pair of something. Come on now, right? We're going into a quiz tomorrow. We're going into the quiz where I could ask you to prove. It's not even going to be this easy tomorrow. This is a pretty easy one right here to finish up to prove the triangle's congruent. Where we are right now in this unit. Okay, what else do I need now? Can't be another pair of angles, right? We know that. Cannot be another pair of angles. It's got to be a pair of sides somewhere. Okay. Where's it going to be, Jesse? There you go. Good job. It's a common side. It's a reflexive side. I'm not going to tell you that. SP congruent to SP. Reflexive. There's a side. Now we got to figure out why. What's the reason going to be? I got 4 of them out there. Before we figure out the reason, we got to write the statement correctly. All right, Alex, name one of the triangles any way you would like. RPS. Congruent to. All right, I got to match them up. R's got to match up to the angle it's congruent to. Side PS has to match up to the side it's congruent to. So if I go RPS, how am I going to name the other triangle correctly? RPS. Boom. Try again. All right, Alex, back to you. How would you like to name that second triangle? What does R match up with? What did we say R was congruent to?
Q.
Okay, so right, if R is in the first spot, Q's got to be in the second spot, right? Let's keep going. PS. What did we say PS was equal to?
SP.
SP, right? But if I go R, let's see, RPS, I got to go QSP right there. All right, what's your method? What's your method going into tomorrow's quiz here? What do we think here? Method. Sydney? Angle, side. Why did we choose that one and not angle, side, angle? Cover up one of the triangles and you'll see PS. Everyone take a look. PS is not in between those two angles. So that's why it is angle, side. cover up one of the triangles and see if your side is in between the other two angles, which it's not. Questions on that before we finish it up with one more proof? Okay, I did this one for a reason. Go ahead, Mark, do what you got to do and I'll talk here. Oh, we didn't. Oh, yes, thank you. We didn't finish it, did we? I'm in the habit of stopping on the triangles. Yes. All right. So we know we have one more step after the triangles are congruent. Thanks, Mia. SQ now is congruent to PR. CPCTC. The corresponding parts are now congruent. CPCTC. And just a heads up, CPCTC should be nowhere on your quiz tomorrow. All right. This is not on the quiz. All right, this is where the quiz ends right here tomorrow. Okay, CPCTC will be on the test. All right, let's talk here because I do this one on purpose. Last, your proof statement is prove a pair of angles congruent, and we know already today, right? The angles won't be congruent unless what? The triangles are congruent. And the last two proofs we've had, there's only been two triangles, so it had to have been those two we proved congruent. But I have multiple triangles in this diagram, correct? So how do we know which two to prove congruent? Look at the proof statement. Find those two angles for me. Find angle ABI and angle ACI on your diagram right now. Find angle ABI and ACI. You see the two triangles that they're in? Those are the two we need to prove congruent. Okay, so your proof statement will tell you what triangles you need to prove if there's multiple triangles in the diagram, which there are in this case. So ABI, it's got to be this triangle. If I highlight this one, ABI. And then ACI is in this triangle right here. So it's got to be these two triangles. I need your help proving congruent. So use your proof statement to find which two triangles you need. And you're already given a pair of sides. All right, so I need something else. Whether you use the given or you see something on your own. How do I get those two triangles congruent so I can get the angles equal? All right, anything else true up here? Woo! We're getting to that point now. Keaton, anything you see up here?
AI congruent to AI.
That guy going right for the easy reflexive. Okay, I see you. Yep. AI congruent to, had to have been done sooner or later, right, Keaton? Might as well get it done now. Reflexive. There's a pair of sides down. Got it. Everyone's good seeing the reflexive side. All right, one more. I need one more pair. I need one more pair up here to get those triangles congruent. Where is it going to come from? Oh boy, here we go. Let's try that again. Zoe, anything? It's going to come from a given, Zoe, that we have not used yet. What given have we not used, Zoe? Okay, here we go. There's that darn word again, right? Bisects. Bisects angle BAC. So if angle BAC is getting bisected, that should leave me with two congruent angles. Those are line segments. We're looking for angles. Do you see where BAC is? Angle BAC. Do you see where that is?
Should I do BAI?
I heard angle BAI. And what's the other angle? IAC. Okay, there we go. Those two angles are going to be congruent. BAI congruent to angle IAC. Definition of bisects. And that gives me a pair of angles right up top. We got everything we need? All righty, name one of the triangles so we can write this statement correctly. Name one of the triangles. Go ahead, Rand. Can you name one of them? Triangle. ABI, fine with me. All right, everyone, match it up. If I go ABI, the other one has to be named ABI with ABI and Jonathan?
ACI.
ACI. Good work. And which one of the four methods says those triangles are congruent? What method do I have here? Juliana? Side, angle, side. Are you good? Now that we got the triangle congruent, the triangles congruent, any of their parts are congruent, including angle ABI and ACI. And what's our reason here now? After the triangles are congruent, the parts are congruent, Mia, because of? There you go. Okay. CPCTC only used after the triangles are congruent. All right, you can go on two different ways right now. You can do the delta math that's on there for the review tomorrow, or you can do the 4 proofs that are due on Friday. The proofs, doing the proofs is going to help. I know CPCTC is not on the quiz tomorrow, but you still got to prove triangles congruent. All right, to get there. So it's up to you.